It all began on a gray autumn morning. When the call came, my grandfather, Charles Whitmore, had passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 86. He was the quiet kind of man who rarely raised his voice, but when he spoke, people listened. A respected businessman, he had built his fortune from scratch, starting with a small hardware shop that grew into a chain across 3 states. The family always whispered about how much he was worth. Estimates ranged from $5 million to $15 million. But grandfather never confirmed. He lived simply, driving the same pickup truck for over 20 years, wearing the same brown leather jacket until the cuffs frayed. What none of us expected was that his death would ignite a storm that nearly destroyed our family forever. The funeral was held in a white-steepled church on the hill. My parents sat in the front pew, my father stiff as a board, my mother clutching tissues. My Aunt Lorraine wore a veil, as though she were the grieving widow. Though my grandmother had passed nearly a decade earlier, my Uncle Martin arrived late, loud as ever, reeking of cologne. His new girlfriend, barely older than me, on his arm, I, Emily, sat quietly in the 3rd row, watching. My relationship with my family had always been complicated. I was the dependable one, the one who kept my head down, worked hard, and never asked for handouts. Unlike my cousins, I didn't expect grandfather's money to save me, but even I felt a ripple of curiosity when the lawyer announced that the reading of the will would take place at his office the following week. That curiosity quickly turned into shock. The lawyer, Mr. Crawford, cleared his throat and adjusted his glasses as we all gathered in the conference room. Your grandfather, he began, left behind a final will and testament. However, he paused, letting the silence stretch. There are conditions, Uncle Martin snorted. Conditions? What is this? Some kind of game? Mr. Crawford ignored him and read aloud. To my family, I leave not just my wealth, but a test. For too long, I have watched selfishness, greed, and entitlement poison the ties that bind us. If you wish to claim your inheritance, you must prove yourselves worthy. A murmur swept through the room. My Aunt Lorraine pressed a hand to her chest. What does that mean? She demanded. Mr. Crawford continued, each of you will receive a sealed envelope. Inside, you will find a task. Complete it honestly, and your portion of the inheritance will be secured. Fail, and you will forfeit it entirely. I felt my stomach tighten. This sounded like something out of a movie. My envelope contained a single line. Uncover the truth about what was stolen from me. I frowned. Stolen? From grandfather? I had no idea what he meant. Over the next few days, rumors tore through the family. My cousin Derek claimed his envelope instructed him to demonstrate integrity in business. Aunt Lorraine bragged that hers asked her to preserve the family's legacy. Uncle Martin laughed and said his task was to support the community, which he clearly had no intention of doing. But mine was different. Uncover the truth about what was stolen from me. I couldn't let it go, so I began digging. I visited grandfather's old office, a dusty room above the original hardware store that was now shuttered. The shelves still smelled faintly of wood and oil. In his desk drawer, I found ledgers, neatly written in his careful script. Most entries matched the business accounts, but one year stood out, 1992. Nearly $1 million had vanished. The entry simply read, "Transferred, Martin." My blood ran cold. Uncle Martin. I photocopied the records and brought them to Nathan, my closest friend, who worked as a forensic accountant. He studied the documents late into the night. This wasn't just sloppy bookkeeping, he finally said. This was embezzlement. Your uncle stole nearly $1 million. The next day I confronted my parents. Did you know about this? I asked, laying the papers on the kitchen table. My father's face turned ashen. My mother wrung her hands. We knew, she admitted softly. But your grandfather insisted it stay in the family. He didn't want the scandal. So, he covered it up? I demanded. He loved Martin, my father said. He hoped he'd change. Change? Uncle Martin had spent the past 20 years flaunting wealth that wasn't his, while grandfather lived modestly. And now, grandfather wanted me to uncover the truth. At the next family gathering, held in Aunt Lorraine's sprawling mansion, tensions were already high. Everyone wanted to know how much money they stood to inherit. Martin arrived with a smug grin, as if the fortune was already his. I stood, heart pounding, and laid the photocopies on the table. Grandfather asked me to uncover the truth, I began. And I did. Uncle Martin stole nearly $1 million from him in 1992. Here is the proof. The room erupted. Aunt Lorraine gasped, clutching her pearls. Cousin Derek swore under his breath. Martin turned beet red. This is lies. Fabricated. But Nathan, who had come with me, calmly produced notarized copies and bank records he had traced. It's all here. The transfers, the shell companies, the accounts Martin used to funnel the money. You ruined this family, Aunt Lorraine screamed at Martin. Me? He shot back. I just took what was mine. Father always favored me, and you all know it. That's not what the records say, I interrupted firmly. He trusted you, and you betrayed him. That's why he made this will, to finally expose the truth. Diane, one of my cousins, stood shakily. Then he doesn't deserve a cent. The lawyer, Mr. Crawford, who had accompanied me, cleared his throat. Indeed, per the conditions of the will, evidence of theft or dishonesty results in immediate disqualification, Martin Whitmore. You forfeit your inheritance. The cheater room went dead silent. Martin's face twisted with rage. You conniving little brat, he spat at me. You think this makes you the hero? You've just destroyed us all. But I wasn't finished. Grandfather didn't just want me to expose the theft, I said, pulling out another folder. He wanted me to return what was stolen. Nathan stepped forward with documents showing. The embezzled money had been quietly recovered by Grandfather years later and invested. That investment had grown into over $6 million, now placed in a trust. Mr. Crawford smiled faintly. Per his instructions, that trust is awarded to the one who uncovered the truth, Emily Whitmore. Gasps filled the room. My legs nearly gave out. $6 million. But more than that, vindication. Martin lunged across the table, but Derek and another cousin pulled him back. His girlfriend slipped quietly out the door. You'll regret this, Martin snarled as security escorted him out. I already regret having you for an uncle, I said coldly. In the weeks that followed, the family fractured. Aunt Lorraine turned bitter, whispering that I had manipulated everything. Some cousins stopped speaking to me, but others, especially those who had struggled financially while Martin flaunted his stolen wealth, thanked me. Nathan and I used part of the trust to restore the original hardware store, turning it into a community center in Grandfather's name. It felt right. Honoring his legacy, not Martin's greed. The last time I saw Martin was in court, where creditors swarmed him. His debts had piled up for years, and without Grandfather's silent protection, he crumbled. Family should mean love, support, and trust. But when betrayal seeps in, blood ties are not enough to excuse it. My grandfather knew this. That's why he left me the task of uncovering the truth, because sometimes loyalty isn't about protecting family secrets. It's about protecting the family's future from those who would destroy it. Would you have exposed Martin, even if it meant tearing your family apart? Or would you have stayed silent to keep the peace? The line between loyalty and justice can be razor thin. Where do you draw yours? If you enjoyed this story of hidden truth and justice, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. More real-life justice stories are coming soon.